So common setting event strategies, and I've sort of highlighted a couple of these already. If we can eliminate the setting event altogether, no setting event present, fantastic, we could do that. Sometimes the setting event has happened, I can't change that, but can I kind of wash away the negative aspect of it? Can I neutralize it? Sometimes the setting event has happened, I kind of can't do anything else about it, and I make the decision not to deliver a trigger. I know you're on the edge, so I'm going to make the choice not to push you over the edge. Okay, we're going to look at some specific examples in a second. Sometimes I can teach a skill that's related to the setting event. Right? So think about this. If you're in pain, and pain is a setting event, and I teach you how to communicate to somebody else that you're in pain and to ask for pain relief, well, now you have a skill as opposed to problem behavior. Sometimes setting events occur, there's an antecedent, but the person does not engage in problem behavior. They engage in appropriate behavior. And if that happens, extra reinforcement. Right? Because despite the fact that conditions were not optimal, you still did the right thing. You engaged in appropriate behavior, so we want to make sure we reinforce that a whole lot. So let's look at some common setting events and some common strategies, just generally speaking. Right? If the person is tired, what are some things that we can do? Sometimes it's a nap. How many of us have ever, right? I'm really, really tired. I'm not quite feeling up to snuff. I'm just going to take a nap. Have we done that? It's okay to admit. I know we don't want to ever let anybody know that we do such things. But yes, of course. Sometimes we reduce expectations. I know you slept really poorly last night. I'm going to give you easier work to do today, or I'm going to ask a little bit less of you. And again, do we do that for ourselves? If I'm really tired, I might, I'm not going to clean the house today because, I'm really tired. I can do that tomorrow. And then the next day. And then the next day. And then a week from now, and right, yeah, okay. I'm not the only one, that's good. This is always very good for me because I can mention all the problem behaviors and go, oh yes, good, everybody else does it too, it's not just me. Sometimes give more reinforcement when desired behaviors occur. So you're tired, but you still did what I asked you to do. Well, you get extra TV time or extra computer time, or we're going to the park today, right? You get extra reinforcement because even though you were tired, you engaged in appropriate behavior. Pain or illness, if that's a setting event. Sometimes providing medication, right? If you have a headache, right, here's some Tylenol, right? Or here's some sort of pain relief. I work with a young woman where PMS is an issue. Heating pads help a little bit, right? I can't completely get rid of the pain, but heating pads help a little bit for her. Sometimes, again, we might reduce expectations. If a person is sick, a person is sick. I can't do anything about the fact that you're sick, so I'm going to reduce my expectations for the period of time that you're sick. I'm just going to, right, back off a little bit because you're sick. Again, more reinforcement if even though you have a headache or even though you're not feeling well, you did what I asked you to do. If lack of choice is an issue, can we provide more opportunities for choice during the day? And again, these don't have to be the child has now taken over the world choices. This really can be, what color shirt do you want to wear? Which plate do you want to eat your dinner off of? Right? Do you want to use this fork or that fork? Do you want this placemat or that placemat? Do you want to play here or there? Do you want to sit here or there? I had a kid I was working on a morning routine, and he had 3 different kinds of toothbrushes, and he was really into cars, so I found this toothbrush that had an actual car with wheels on the end. That was very exciting. And an electric one, and then kind of your like regular cartoon character toothbrush. And we had 3 or 4 different flavors of toothpaste, right? So yes, you have to brush your teeth, but look at all the choices that are available to you, right? So there's a demand, but there's a lot of control still that you have in terms of decisions about that demand. So can we just increase choice? And there are lots of little choices that we can give individuals that really don't mean much of anything to us, right? They're still doing the task. In schools, I often do this one, and teachers, when I tell them this, they kind of smile and go, oh, I never thought of that, but it works. Kids who aren't into doing their worksheets, right? No, I won't do this. Copy the same worksheet on different colors of paper. Do you want to do the work on the white paper or the green paper or the pink paper? And I kid you not, kids who are really about choice, making choices, they'll be like, I want the blue. All right, off you go then. They kind of don't realize that the work is the work is the work, and instead of delivering a demand, you've now asked them what they want to do. It's just in the phrasing. right? For some kids, it really is about that phrasing. Instead of telling me what to do, you give me a choice, and I'm like, oh, I'll do this one, and off I go, right? So we can do some things like that. Lack of predictability. If there's a predictability issue, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what's happening next, I don't know when I get what I want, I don't know what time things will be happening, I don't know who I'm doing things with, all of that. Visual schedules. Visual schedules. And again, how many of us walk around with one of these, right? These hold our visual schedules, right? Our visual schedules are in print, that's really it. Right? And again, for students, for kids, we might be talking about picture-based schedules. We might be talking about text-based schedules. I've got kids who are readers and their schedule is written. But we all walk around with schedules. And if I tried to take your schedule away and said, okay, for the next week, you don't get your calendar. You don't get access to that app on any of your devices, right? We're going to shut down your iCloud and you're done, right? No schedule for you. How many of you would find that fairly distressing? Right? Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I, in many respects, do much the same every day. I remember what days I teach class. I remember where my classes are. I remember what times. But I have all kinds of other things that I need to remember. And there will be times, you know, I'll look at my calendar in the morning and 2 hours later, what am I doing this afternoon again? It's probably an age thing, right? But for kids, it's about I don't remember or I didn't understand when you told me. I need to see what I'm doing. So visual schedules are almost always something that I'm putting in place, and particularly if we're talking about a lack of predictability. Hunger or thirst is often a setting event. Kids who are getting a bit hungry, right? Kids who didn't eat breakfast. When I taught at schools, I had one kid in particular who had a really challenging time at home in the mornings, a lot of problem behavior around getting ready for school, and he had a bus to catch. And so sometimes it was so problematic for mom just trying to get him dressed and his teeth brushed and get him out the door that he hadn't eaten. Right? And then he arrives at school hungry, and now I've got a setting event in place. So we learned that if he hadn't had breakfast, mom would just phone and say to the secretary, no breakfast. And the secretary knew, right? And then the secretary would get the information to me, and we had snacks for him so that when he came in, he got something to eat that would tide him over till lunch. Because at that point, if I just try to make him work despite the fact that he hasn't eaten, I'm kind of asking for whatever I get at that point, right? Like, he hasn't eaten. I can try and make him suffer through it, but I'm going to suffer through it with him. Or I can give him a little something to eat and we can deal with that, right? And meanwhile, we're working on helping mom get the morning routine going a bit better so he actually does eat breakfast before school, right? But think about those things. So we can provide, ideally, we teach people to ask for what they need. So if you're hungry and you need a snack, you ask for it. If you're thirsty and you need a drink, you ask for it. Instead of me having to try and assess the situation all the time. When's the last time you had something to drink? When's the last time you had something to eat? Do I need to give you something? Now you have the skill to be able to ask for what you need when you need it, right? Which is what we all do, right? Right. Okay, so the purpose of setting event strategies is just about reducing likelihood of problem behavior. It's important that you understand that. Setting events don't trigger problem behavior, and addressing setting events don't mean that problem behavior won't happen at all. It just makes it less likely. That's why all of you coffee drinkers make sure that you have coffee in the morning. That doesn't mean that you won't engage in problem behavior later in the day, that you won't get snappy with somebody, but you're less likely to because you at least have caffeine in your system. When there's no caffeine in your system, you're a little more on the edge, right? Right. So we're looking at trying to prevent setting events from occurring if we can, or if the setting events do occur, can we reduce the impact of them, right? So there's a negative impact because a setting event has happened. Can I somehow reduce the negativity of that? So if I haven't eaten, for example, I can have a snack which reduces the impact of having no breakfast. If the setting event has happened, I can just not deliver the antecedent trigger. So again, I had a student where if he hadn't slept well, mom would phone the school and give us the heads up, and instead of giving him hard work that day, new work, he would get all review work that day. Because hard work was a trigger for problem behavior. And I knew he was already tired, so tired plus hard work equals problem behavior. If I remove the hard work when he's tired, I'm reducing the likelihood of problem behavior. So we just make that more of a review day as opposed to a you're working on hard stuff. Okay, so can we adjust whether or not we deliver triggers. Teach a skill, right? If I can manage my own setting events, fantastic. Those of you who know to make coffee in the mornings, you've learned a skill to manage your setting events. Some of us just go through the Starbucks drive-thru to manage our setting events. All right, and then finally, if despite setting event in place, desired positive behaviors occur, we're going to give lots and lots of reinforcement for that, right? So setting event strategies are really just about reducing likelihood that problem behavior will occur, but it doesn't directly relate to problem behavior.